Let's talk about one of the great hair debates in the textured hair community. And this is a debate that is applicable to both natural and relaxed hair. And it is whether or not you should, drumroll, oil your scalp. Okay, so this debate isn't a really hot one, but it's one that keeps popping up in my social feeds and my hair groups that I'm in. So I decided that I should dig into it and do a video on it. Now, full disclosure, I sometimes oil my scalp. I don't do it on a daily basis or even consistently on a weekly basis. I do it when I feel like it and I feel like it could be beneficial for my scalp. All right, let's make sure we're all on the same page when it comes to scalp oiling, that we all understand what it is and how to do it. So scalp oiling is applying oil to the scalp and massaging it in. This is also sometimes called oiling the scalp or even sometimes greasing the scalp. Flashback. Now, after the oil is applied, it can either be washed off a short time afterwards, or it can be left on for a few days before it's eventually washed off. When it comes to scalp oiling, there are a few different reasons why it's done, why people want to do it and actually do it. The first reason is for hair growth. The second reason is to alleviate itching. Now, there are some oils that have properties that can help soothe an itchy scalp. The third reason is for moisturizing the scalp using oils that have more nourishing properties. When I was growing up, oiling the scalp was a standard practice in our house. I'm not 100% sure why. I think it was to keep our scalps from drying out, or it could just be that's what my parents did when they were growing up, and so they had me and my siblings doing it as well. I should probably ask my mom and see what she says about that. Until now, I never questioned why we did it, because it was just something we did when I was growing up. And also back then, I had no knowledge about hair care that didn't come from my parents. They were the people telling me how to care for my hair. Now, when it came to oiling our scalps, we would do it every Saturday after washing our hair. It was kind of like clockwork. For a while, my mom would actually be the one to do the oiling. And when she would do that, I would sit on the floor in front of the couch. She would sit behind me on the couch, and then we'd watch something on TV while she was doing it. When I got old enough that she trusted me to do it and was like, hey, you take care of your own hair, I would then take myself after washing my hair on Saturday night, sit in the living room, usually with the TV on, and go ahead and do my scalp oiling routine. Come to think of it though, greasing my scalp is probably the better term, because at that point in time, we were using more petrolatum-based products versus oil-based products on our scalps. As I said, this was kind of a routine for me. It was my weekend routine for years until I became an adult. I think when I became an adult, I just stopped doing it because it took up extra time and I didn't feel like it was really helping my hair or my scalp any. Now, fast forward to a few years ago, I started back up with scalp oiling because I was dealing with drying and flaking on my scalp, and I thought that applying some oil would help with that. And it did help. I would apply the oil the day I washed my hair right after drying it. And over time, my dry and flaky scalp issues slowly went away. Since then, I've continued that practice off and on and have used a few different oils during that time. Some of the oils I've used have been different types and brands of Jamaican black castor oil, the Main Choice multivitamin nourishing growth oil, the Alikay Naturals Essential 17 hair growth oil, and currently the Mielle Rosemary and Mint hair and scalp oil. Now let me tell you, I started using that oil before it blew up on TikTok, so I'm not following a trend. I helped set the trend, okay? Currently though, I'm questioning whether or not scalp oiling is something that I should continue doing. And the reason I'm questioning it is because now that I've read several articles and write-ups against scalp oiling and how it can be harmful to the hair and scalp, I'm like, should I or should I not? So let me go ahead and tell you what are some of those negatives about scalp oiling that I found in these articles so that you have the same knowledge as I do. The first reason these articles provided against scalp oiling is that it can cause buildup on the scalp if too much oil is used. That buildup can then clog the hair follicles, which then would negatively impact hair growth. The second reason is that scalp oiling can make the hair look and feel greasy when too much oil is used. And when the hair is weighed down with products, and in this case oil, it makes it hard to style the hair, and you just want to wash it more often, which is not always a bad thing, but too much hair washing can not be so great for textured hair. The third reason is it can make scalp issues worse. One example that was provided is if the scalp is flaking and you put oil on top of the flakes, it just makes those flakes stick to the scalp. And that can make the issue causing the flaking even worse, and you don't want that. Now on the flip side, those who are for scalp oiling say that it can help to strengthen and protect the hair follicles and even the hair strands. It conditions and hydrates the scalp, and it helps with reducing dandruff. Plus, when you couple a scalp massage with scalp oiling, it can help to relieve stress, help with relaxation, and promote blood circulation in the scalp. Okay, with all this information, you can kind of understand why I'm like at a crossroads and I'm trying to figure out what is a girl to do. Do you or don't you do scalp oiling? Well, I'm gonna tell you where I have landed. After going back and forth with all of this information and taking into account my own personal experiences with scalp oiling, I've decided that I'm going to continue doing it. Now, I have a few reasons, and those reasons are it has been helping my scalp, and I haven't noticed any issues with buildup or irritation. Plus, I regularly clean my scalp once a week. And I think if I always went longer than a week between my hair washes and cleaning my scalp, I would definitely rethink putting oil on it, because I wouldn't want to have any buildup issues. When it comes to whether or not you will oil your scalp, take this information, do some additional research on your own, and figure out what will work best for you. I mean, that's really what being on a healthy hair journey is all about. It's not about doing everything that I do or some other hair influencer does with their hair using the same products and techniques. It's about taking that information from me and from other hair influencers and figuring out from that what's best for you, your hair, and in this case, your scalp, and doing those things consistently. Now, if you do decide that scalp oiling is something that you want to try, something that you want to do and have as part of your hair regimen, there are a few tips that I found, and some of these are things that I actually do that can help you be more successful and have a better experience with it. The first tip is to apply the oil on a clean and preferably exfoliated scalp, because that's when your scalp is best ready to receive the benefits from the oil that you're using. The second tip is to try and avoid applying the oil on a dirty scalp, as it's just going to mix in with the dirt and it can hold the dirt close to the scalp, which, if it's there for a long time, can potentially cause some irritation. Tip number 3 is to avoid using oils that are heavy and can clog the pores. So these are oils that are mineral oil or petrolatum or even have them as ingredients in them. I'm going to talk a little later about some oils that are good to use on the scalp, so stay tuned for that. Tip 4 is to select an oil or an oil product that won't irritate your scalp. Now, the way you can determine whether or not it could cause some irritation is by doing a patch test somewhere where it can't easily be seen. I like to do my patch test close to my nape underneath my hair, because then I can just cover it up and no one else is the wiser. Tip number 5 is to not be heavy-handed when applying the oil. So use the oil in moderation and apply it in a light layer. All right, now that we have some tips on how to do it, let's get into the actual ways that scalp oiling can be done. The first is on a freshly clean scalp. So you want to take a few drops of oil and apply it to your scalp and massage it in using the pads of your fingers. The key is to not apply a lot of oil so your scalp and hair get really oily, because in this method, it's not being washed out. Now, the second way or the second method is to apply the oil right before you wash your hair. So kind of like an oil-based pre-poo. So you apply a few drops on your scalp and massage it in with the pads of your fingers. And for an added benefit, you can also apply some oil to the length of your hair, paying special attention to your ends. And then after a little bit of time, which can be anywhere from 10, 15, even up to 30 minutes, go ahead and shampoo your hair and continue with your regular wash day. Now, personally, I've used both methods and I don't have a preference necessarily for either one, except that I do find that if I'm trying to preempt some potential scalp issues, doing it on the freshly washed scalp is better for me. Okay, I've got a couple of extra bonus tips for you when it comes to scalp oiling, and these are things that I've learned over time. So the first bonus tip is I found a great way to control how much oil I'm putting on my scalp, and that is by using a dropper versus trying to pour it into the palm of my hand and then trying to control it that way, or even pouring it directly onto my scalp. Now, my second bonus tip is something that I actually referenced previously, but I wanted to talk about it in a little more detail because I think it's really important. And that is to only use the pads of your fingers to massage in the oil. You want to avoid using your nails so you don't scratch and ultimately hurt your scalp, because scalp oiling is supposed to be beneficial. I even found that I like to avoid using the tips of my fingers, because if I have longer nails, sometimes I might accidentally scratch my scalp without even trying to. Okay, now let's talk about oils that can be good for scalp oiling. I've mentioned a few of these already as some of the ones that I've used over time when I am oiling my scalp, but I have also added a couple of extra ones here in this list that I wanted to make sure I shared with you. The first oil is Jamaican black castor oil. Now this one is a little more on the heavier side, and a lot of people don't tend to like it because of how heavy it is. So there are some things you can do to thin it out, such as mixing it with a lighter oil, or even getting a pre-mix of Jamaican black castor oil, such as the Jamaican mango and lime peppermint black castor oil. Now, when I've used Jamaican black castor oil in any form or sense on my scalp, I try to only apply it after I have just washed my hair and scalp so that it's on something nice and fresh. I typically don't do it right before I'm going to wash my hair. Okay, we've got now the Main Choice Multivitamin Nourishing Growth Oil. Now this is a pre-mixed oil that you can buy. It is lightweight, non-greasy, and it's very gentle. Now I've used it for several months and I had no issues with any kind of buildup, greasiness, or irritation on my hair or my scalp. Now let's talk about a natural oil. And a great one to use on the scalp is jojoba oil. And that's because it's said to be very similar to sebum, which is the natural oil that our scalp creates. In the natural oil space, there's also essential oils like tea tree oil, which is a good option to use on the scalp because it is antifungal, antibacterial, antiseptic, and anti-inflammatory properties. Now, the thing is, with any kind of essential oil, tea tree oil should not be used straight out of the bottle because it is strong and it will cause some irritation. Take it from me because I did a little test one time to see if that was true, and believe me, it was. Like other essential oils, tea tree oil needs to be mixed in with another type of non-essential oil, so you can mix it with some of the Jamaican black castor oil or even the jojoba oil. Disclaimer time, when trying any oil or oil product on your scalp, make sure you do a patch test first to make sure you don't have an allergic reaction to it. All right, that's all for me, and now I want to hear from you. What's your experience with scalp oiling? Are you a fan? Are you not a fan? Do you do it? Do you not do it? Go ahead and share in the comments below. Before you sign off, please let me know if you like this video by giving it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button. And I have one more thing for you. Go ahead and check out this video where I share 7 tips for healthy scalp care. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in this next video.